raise capital for startup uses and growth uses through the crowd. So we generally use the SEC's regulation crowdfunding exemption so that people can go use a public-facing general solicitation to raise funds from anyone out there that is interested in their business. Where NextSeed has had a lot of success is working with consumer-facing businesses where the customers love the business so much that they want to invest in it. So we're making the customer, investor, ambassador really synonymous. So that's NextSeed generally. I guess it was about a month or month and a half now, our team got together internally and said, what are we going to do to help all these small businesses, particularly that were viable prior to the crisis, simply don't have enough working capital, and the EIDL program and the PPP program may not be sufficient to bridge them through the crisis. And there are certain restrictions. For example, the PPP money can only be utilized 25% of it on certain things like rent and utilities. That wouldn't allow, for example, a restaurant or a bar to use that capital to restock inventory that has gone bad, while they've been closed for a couple of months. Just to kind of give you a more macro kind of fun example, if you think about March Madness and how much beer all the bars around the country stocked during that sort of spike period, that's a very important sports time. All of that beer has gone bad. And so you need some source of capital to restock it. So what we created is called the Community Bridge Note, and it's intended for businesses that were viable before the crisis hit. So the business needs to have been in operation for 6 months and needs to have be able to demonstrate profitability prior to the crisis. And what it is it's a revenue sharing note whereby the business will raise capital from the crowd, and then over 48 months they will pay back 1.3 times the amount that's raised. It's truly a bridge. Capital is actually lower if it's paid off earlier. So if it's paid off within 24 months, the multiple is actually 1.2 the invested capital, and if it's paid off within 12 months, the multiple is 1.1 invested capital. So it really is a lower cost of capital, flexible way for companies to bridge themselves through the crisis. The other thing to note is that the first payment due wouldn't be until February 2021. So the grace period is from the time they close and fund through February 1st, 2021.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. So I like the crowdfunding, and that's one of the things we really wanted to bring with this webinar, is to highlight that it's not always the same resources. And we know that, every business is different, and some folks will be able to apply for things and other folks won't be able to. And so we really appreciate what you're saying, the information that you're sharing, because some folks, when they call me and they have, they're just like, I have a concern, I'm not able to get this loan. So it's good to have multiple ways to help your business out financially. So thank you, and next week, what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and just one final comment, the same way that any business should be applying for the CARES programs, we believe that companies that wouldn't otherwise consider crowdfunding should really consider it, particularly if you have a consumer-facing customer base and a strong brand. Just to give you a personal example, I grew up outside of Chicago, and there's a small pizza shop that has been there since I was born in the 70s. And I know they're struggling, and it would be a real shame if they had to go out of business just because of this. They obviously had a strong operating team and were profitable. What this does is, I wouldn't invest thousands of dollars to save that business, but maybe I would invest 100, and maybe 1,000 people $100, and that saves the business. The other key point that I'll make is that this isn't a donation. It's not like Kickstarter. It's a SEC compliant investment, and the goal is that people can invest in businesses that they care about and potentially make a return on the back end of it.
Awesome. And so it gives the opportunity not only for the business, but those who are looking to help out other businesses. So that is great. That is great. And so if someone wants to ask about more information, what would you tell them?
So they can go to our website. It's nextseed.com. So that's nextseed.com. And up at the top, you'll see it's really the first link up top on the right. And that will bring you to the page about our community bridge note. And also, I'll go ahead and tell you all my email address. It's jp.yorro@nextseed.com. So any business that's interested in the program can email directly.
Awesome. Thank you, JP. And again, if you can stick around for us, but I know there's going to be questions later on. So sticking with the financial piece of this, but moving us to some events, we have Abby Gonzalez with SBA. Abby?
Hi, thank you, Portia. First of all, thank you for having this event. As someone who has worked with many small businesses, I know there's always an overload of information. Always great to have it in one place. So as Portia mentioned, my name is Abby Gonzalez. I'm an economic development specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration here in the Houston District Office. So a little bit about the Houston District Office. Our office does not process any loan applications. We don't process any funding. We don't disperse funds. So that is something just to keep in mind, because everyone thinks it all happens in our office. There's actually an Office of Disaster Assistance that handles all of that. But our office is mainly here to help these small businesses understand what resources are available, how the SBA can help, and to help you understand those programs. So we've been doing a whole lot related to COVID-19. As you know, the resources that have become available thanks to the CARES Act, including the Payroll Protection Program, which is PPP, or the EIDL loan program, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, that actually exists after every declared disaster. So this was offered after Hurricane Harvey, after Tropical Storm Imelda, but a lot of people only hear about us during a disaster, but the SBA is actually here for many other things for small businesses, including counseling, federal contracting, and other items. But of course, right now our priority is crisis. So for the EIDL loan program, just to give a small update before talking about some upcoming webinars. So for EIDL, it's currently only open for the agricultural businesses, and that is not because we want to keep anyone from applying, but it is because the agricultural industry was barred from applying during the first round of EIDL. That has always been a law that they were not allowed to apply. That changed after the CARES Act. It enabled the agricultural industry to be able to apply for this funding, as unprecedented as it has been. So EIDL is currently only open for agricultural businesses and for people who applied already and received a confirmation number beginning with the number 2. And that is because those people applied before the CARES Act was signed, and the CARES Act implemented the EIDL advance. So if they applied before the CARES Act was signed and have a confirmation number beginning with the number 2, they would not have seen the option to receive the EIDL advance. So they are able to reapply, and it won't affect their place in line. It won't affect their previous application. So only those 2 categories of businesses are able to apply for EIDL right now. It's undetermined if that will change, but we will make sure to let people know if it does change. So for EIDL, as of May 18th, over 20,000 applications have been approved in the state of Texas for a total of $1.9 billion. So those are still being processed in the order in which they were received. So we're still waiting on some more EIDLs to be approved and for those funds to be dispersed. If you have questions related to EIDL, I can help guide you through the process. However, as I mentioned, the Houston District Office doesn't have access to the application, so we can't check the status of an EIDL application, but we can walk you through and let you know what to expect. For PPP, that is currently open, active, highly recommend applying if you're seeking those funds because there are still funds. They did not go as quickly as they did the first time because of some new guidelines that were released and some implementation of extra rules that help those become stay available for a longer amount of time. So for PPP, again, you would apply directly with your lender. The process would go through them, and it is a forgivable loan. So for PPP, 4 billion loans have been approved throughout the entire nation, which includes U.S. territories. And as of May 16th, 346,000, well, actually over 346,000 PPP loans have been approved in Texas, totaling around $40 billion. And there are still PPP funds available. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of that, and we can walk you through that process. So getting into the webinars that we are offering actually have a lot to do with PPP and EIDL, of course. So we are offering daily webinars covering PPP and EIDL. So there's one webinar that talks about the two programs, how they're different and what to expect from each. And then we also have that in Spanish, so it's available in English and Spanish. We have a PPP forgiveness webinar that talks entirely about how to get your PPP loan forgiven. The application for PPP forgiveness was just released on Friday night, so we are getting acclimated with that application, but we've already started offering those webinars in English and Spanish for people who have already received their PPP funds. In addition to our disaster relief webinars, we also have non-disaster webinars that we'll be offering. So if people want to learn about other things that the SBA offers, we have webinars about non-disaster lending to learn about other lending programs that don't have to do with disaster. For example, people have reached out to us about regular business loans to start a new business. So we do have that information, as well as webinars covering federal contracting and how to get in contact with our resource partners who offer free and virtual advising. So very quickly, I'll give you my contact information. Please feel free to contact me with your questions or just with any general information that you need. My contact information, and preferably, is contact by email, which is Abigail, ABIGAIL, .Gonzalez, and Gonzalez is GONZALEZ @SBA.gov. So please feel free to reach out to me. Our website, which is sba.gov/tx/Houston, has a list of all of our webinars, a list of lenders in the Houston area. So our list includes banks that are approved by the SBA, and the list indicates whether a bank is accepting new clients. So very important. And then, of course, copies of all of our webinar presentations are also on our website. So feel free to take a look at that or email me with any questions.
Thank you, Abby. You rolled off that information.
I try.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been doing that a whole lot. The SBA has been rolling out webinar after webinar, making sure that everybody has the information they need for EIDL and for PPP and for the programming that they have. So thank you for sharing that information. And everybody, if you're not writing down their information, you need to write down their information to contact them. They're here to help you. And like I said, we know there's a lot of resources out there, but we are highlighting ones that we know that will help you and kind of help you navigate through the system during this difficult time. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Portia, for inviting us. And I see lots of our other partners on here, including Francisco with LiftFund, one of our micro lenders, OBO, a great partner. So thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. It's like a reunion here.
It is. It's a mini reunion. We have Gabriella, MBDA. We have lots of ex-OBO employees on here.
Right. So we moving on to SCORE, and SCORE is again another one of our partners, and they also have residents, or had residents prior to the pandemic here in our office. They had office hours on every Thursday as well, to offer advice for anyone, starting their business or saying maybe they needed marketing help, whatever they needed help on we had a mentor here that would sit down with them and help them regardless of where they were at with their business, starting or trying to move it to the next level. And so we have Lalitha Raman with us, and everybody knows if you want to know anything about SCORE, you go to Lalitha. She knows everything. And she's so nurturing. When you go to her, she will make sure you have the information. So Lalitha, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Portia, and good to see everybody. Yes, we've been very busy too, trying to help out people on what to do on the EIDL, the PPP loan. But there are many people that are still may not be qualified, because lately I'm hearing more about people not qualified for the EIDL loan because of credit scores or things like that. So we've been referring them to our other partners, LiftFund, HBDI, People Fund, and everybody else. Our main problem now is going to be that all these people that got all the PPP fund are going to be asking us help how to fill out the application forms for forgiveness, because the form is not very complicated, but there is a little bit of difficulty in figuring out your full-time equivalents or your adjusted different time, because it sometimes happens the payroll period which comes in the middle of the date in which they got the loan. So the loan is for 8 weeks after that. So they have questions on what to do and what kind of documentation to provide, and either before they apply or after they apply. But in addition to that, what's happening is with a lot of businesses facing downtime, and now all of a sudden they need working capital, what to do with their inventory. How do you restart your business? What do you do? Because how do you get your customers back? And that's where we are now concentrating, saying that going beyond this crisis, what do you have to do to get your business going? How do you maybe change some of the tactics of your business? Also, how to market your business, which is so crucial, because you need to connect with your customers, past customers, how to develop new customers. So these are the kind of questions a lot of our mentors are now answering. And in addition to that, we are also trying to help them to develop a financial plan, because they are so totally lost. What do I do now? So we are trying to get them to develop a financial plan, what you have to do to break even, how to go forwards with it, because they get so frustrated. They say, what do I do now? I have nothing. I'm just going to have to go bankrupt. And we keep saying, no, that's not the answer. We want you to go back. And like Mr. Yorro and LiftFund said, you get these loans, they have given you sufficient time for you to back up, to plan your activities. Maybe you can change the way you sell things. Maybe you can add on services so that now something new will come up. So these are the kind of questions that are coming to us, and we are really working very hard to help people in this light, So that's our main thing, that we keep telling people, come back. We may not be having an office open right now, but we are doing a lot of Zoom meetings with our clients, email. So we are answering all the questions, and we're trying to develop relationship to go forwards. As we say always, we are your partner for the life of your business. And right now we are ready to hold your hands and walk you through this difficult time.
Yes, I like that when you said you're ready to hold their hands and walk them through this difficult time, because a lot of people do need hand holding. And SCORE, they are phenomenal. They're going to help you in every aspect that you need. And like she said, if you're feeling like you want to give up, don't give up.
Yeah.
Contact SCORE, contact Lalitha, and they'll help you and kind of figure it out, because what we are noticing that some people are going to have to repurpose their business. And so you don't have to just disregard everything and disregard your business. You put so much time and effort into it. So let's sit down with them and figure out, what's the next step? How do you change it and move forward going through COVID and afterwards? So don't give up. And don't give up, call SCORE.
That's right. Don't give up. We are there.
Yes. Do you have anything else to add as far as what you all are doing over there and how you're helping small businesses? I see you, Lalitha. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, do you have anything else to add?
No, we've been trying. We just have to go back to our website. That's where we have to ask people to go to houston.score.org and say find a mentor. You can also call our office because we are answering the phone calls, and SBA has been kind enough to help us. So we are answering phone calls, and we will answer every call and every email that we get. So. And we are working with the city, with Portia, we're working with Harris County, and we are working with the governor's office and SBA, with anybody that is asking us to help, we are there. We are about 120 volunteers in Houston, so we can definitely help. So send the people on. Okay, Francisco, send the people on.
Awesome, great.
Okay. Referral.
And just to add, for our presenters, you can also type your information into the chat feature so that everyone can see it. I know some of you have already done that as well. And for our business owners, if you have questions, feel free to type that into the chat feature as well. So now we have the director of the Houston MBDA Business Center. I got it right this time, Gabriella. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for getting it. I know it's a lot of acronyms.
There's a lot of acronyms that meet the buyer. I was like, which one comes first? I can't remember it, but I got it now.
You got it perfectly. Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank the Office of Business Opportunity for hosting this event, and of course, Dr. Portia Jackson for inviting me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gabriela Zambrano, and I'm the director of the Houston MBDA Business Center. MBDA stands for Minority Business Development Agency, and we're the only federal program tasked to help and grow existing minority-owned business. In Houston, we are operated by the Houston Community College. So I have two bosses, I always tell people, MBDA headquarters and the Houston Community College. Now, for the past 7 years, the Houston MBDA Business Centers has advised 270 minority-owned businesses, facilitated over $430 million in contracts, $490 million in finances, and we have helped create more than 11,000 jobs for minority-owned business. We provide business consulting services, certification, and facilitate introduction in order to assist our clients. Our business center is known because we host Substance Sandwich event, which is an opportunity for subcontractors and large general contractors to meet one another in a speed dating format. Of course, after the pandemic, we made the transition to host virtual meeting, and I think we have one of our presenters here. Our next, which was Ed Ryland, he was our first virtual meeting we did. He was so graceful, and we're gonna be forever grateful to him. But I just wanna give you guys a tip. Our next MBDA Virtual Substance Sandwich is with Archer Western. So we've kind of moved away a little bit from the COVID-19 and continue to do our regular work. And just so you know, it's going to be next Wednesday, May 27 at 11:30 a.m. And we will have the opportunity to interact with Archer Western and learn about upcoming construction opportunities in Houston with them, okay? So if you want the link, you want to contact me, you can send me an email at mbda@hccs.edu, and I'll put it in the chat as well. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Gabriella. You rolled that off too.
Hey, you know, you gotta be ready with this information, you know, but I see clients here, you know, former colleagues, former presenters, we all have pivoted our jobs.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, is because not only do businesses have to figure out readjust how they're doing, but us as organizations, we had to really readjust and figure out what can we do and offer it online so that everyone can have access to it, and we're not stopping our services because we want to be there to advocate for the small businesses. So that's great to hear that you all are still doing your substance sandwiches and moving all of your events virtually during this time. So hey, y'all, get on the events. Just because we can't see people in person for right now, you can see us and everyone else online and get that information. Thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you, Portia.
So now we are moving into a special moment of the hour about small businesses that are helping each other. And this is really a phenomenal piece because it's really good to see the small business community come out to support each other. At the Office of Business Opportunity, we used to have a virtual legal lab where we had free legal advice for about 30 minutes for businesses that were looking to get advice on anything regarding the legalities of their business. Well, the firm that was doing that for us has kind of went out and gone over and above and beyond and solicited some help from other law firms. And so they are now together. We have it's called Houston Small Business Legal Consultation. We use acronyms around here, so I have to always make sure I say out the whole thing so that everybody knows what I'm talking about. And together they are offering free legal advice, 1 hour, to help you through this time for the COVID related, any business related issues. So you can call and ask them and sit down with the legal attorney, and it's for free for 1 hour, and ask them anything that's regarding, your lease agreements, financial assistance, anything that you can think of that you're a difficult time that you're going through right now with COVID. And so if you're interested in the free legal service, please send an email to OBO Legal Services at houstontx.gov. And I know my colleague Magnifique is on the line. Can you type that in the chat for me? Thank you. So the first thing I want to bring up is Brandi McDonald and Connie Rankin from Limestone Commercial. And they reached out to us about helping other small businesses. So Connie and Brandi, are you there? I see you.
We're here. Hi, Portia. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you for coming. So walk us through, and I know you have a PowerPoint slide, so whenever you want me to put that up, just say the word, but tell us about Limestone and what you're doing for small businesses during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Limestone Commercial Real Estate is a brokerage firm for all commercial spaces. And I have to just thank Connie Rankin for being the champion of this cause. Early in the quarantine, she said, we have to help other business owners navigate their leases. They can't even get into their commercial spaces. Everyone's asking, how do I get rent relief? And so we put a very concise summary together that I look forward to going over with you. Portia, if you want to go ahead and put it up.
Sure.
And Connie, are you with us? She's never been so quiet. She has such a wonderful personality. She's there somewhere. All right, well, let's take a look. We just wanted to highlight some things that every business owner should know about their commercial space leases. Starting with, and if you'll go to the next slide, when quarantine hit, most of us found ourselves forced out of our places of business, from office to industrial to retail. And everyone was asking the question, do I still have to pay rent for space that I can't occupy? And so we started pulling up lease documents and helping business owners review them. And many of you may have pulled up your own lease information and said, what are my rights? So the first set of language we went to is force majeure. And we said, okay, well, this is definitely an act of God, and surely we can get out of our rent. And unfortunately, that's not the case. And then we started digging to business interruption insurance. And what we learned is that most of those products don't cover rent. So hopefully in the future, legislation will change these issues and provide a better future for business owners. But in the interim, how can we help companies find rent relief? So if you can see short-term into the future and are really a little apprehensive about a long-term view, say even 3 to 5 years out, and you just need some rent relief today to sustain your operations, we have some templates that we've created that have proven to be successful in helping business owners start and navigate the conversation with their landlord. So it's a very simple approach. I need 3 months of rent abatement, and would you consider adding it on to the end of my lease expiration. We have seen landlords agree to that concept. We've also had other landlords say, you know, I'll give you 3 or 4 months of abatement now, but I need to amortize it over the year 2021, which is still a reasonable solution. But if you can see long-term that your business is going to return to a sustainable, profitable place, then it's also a good idea to consider a lease restructure, especially if you don't need all of your space. Maybe you only need 70% of the space you originally had. This is a great time to have a conversation with your landlord about giving back the unneeded space and trading for term extension. The thing that we've found surprising to most business owners right now is that they don't see their landlord as another business owner, and they are. Landlords are just in the business of real estate investments, and they have the same concerns that we do right now. They're concerned that all the tenants in their buildings are going to go bankrupt and not be able to pay rent. So when they have a business owner who comes forward and says, you know, I really don't need all my space, I need a little help, these are the things that will change in the near future that will bring me back to a very profitable state. And if you can help me today, I'll be a long-term loyal tenant. And we are seeing landlords respond favorably to those authentic conversations. And we're here to help arm business owners on how to enter those conversations. Something else important right now is you do need to understand what your rights are in your lease. And most leases have sublease and assignment rights. So don't feel stuck. If you don't need your space, let's put it on the sublease market and find someone else to backfill it and to help you cover your financial obligation. Most leases don't come with a termination or a contraction right, but if you've negotiated one in, make sure you don't forget about it. Go and find out what those terms and conditions are. This is a great time to exercise those rights and a good time to get educated. So in your next lease contract, you know to go in and negotiate those variables. After you've identified what you really need, projected your future sustainable business plan, identified your options within your lease contract, it's time to develop the right strategy and communicate it to your landlord. And that's what we're here to help you do. So if, Portia, if you'll go to the next slide. We've provided our our website here, and I also put it in the chat. And if you'll forward to the final slide, this is what our homepage looks like on our website. If you'll scroll down to the bottom of our homepage, you'll see the bar at the bottom. If you click on that, you can fill out a form. It's a very short form with information about your current situation, your lease expiration. We will study your scenario and come back and provide to you the templates that you need to start those conversations. We'll arm you with how to go and pursue a lease restructure. And of course, you can always engage us for our services. But we want to be here to help other small businesses navigate this unique season. So thank you for the opportunity. And I don't know, hopefully you couldn't hear me, but I've been taking furious notes because I've learned so much and I'm excited about sharing it with my network. So thank you.
Thank you, Brandi. And hi, Connie, I'm waving at you.
I had myself on mute. I'm sorry because I didn't want you to hear all the background. So I was here, Brandi. I was listening to every word.
I was worried about you.
Good job. I just thought it was easier if just one person spoke instead of both of us.
No problem, no problem. And so again, just so the businesses can really understand, there's loans out there also, but you also have to look at other ways to help and get you through this process. And rent and lease relief is a huge part of that. So we wanted to make sure that we were bringing that information to you as well and showing you that other small businesses are here to help you. And so we also have Ed Ryland on the line from ARVO Realty Advisors. Ed, are you unmuted? Oh, okay. So Ed, how are you doing? I don't hear Ed. Does anybody else hear him?
So hello everybody. Can you guys hear?
Okay.
right, well, hello to the panel and hello to Brandi and Connie and everybody who's going. So listen, my topic, as you know, is the same as what Brandi and Connie just went over. But I think that the issue for us was on day one when this pandemic hit, we were first out to shoot. You know, we were asking, why aren't folks addressing this? And so we were kind of the first out to shoot to start talking about this. And I would tell you, the challenge is that when I look at corporations and government entities, they have internal organizations that can help navigate through these issues. But when we start looking at small, mid-sized businesses, they don't have those type of resources. They don't have those type of skills. They don't have the type of know-how to do that. So our goal was to help those small businesses early on in this process to understand that they need to first not be afraid. Second, that they need to reach out for help. And thirdly, that they need to communicate, and in many cases, over communicate their concerns and their issues to the landlords. And so our company, ARVO Realty Advisors, we've been in business now for 38 years, and we work with corporate, government, and small business clients. Specifically this time, we have been putting forth a lot of emphasis on small businesses, not just in rent relief and some other areas that can help small businesses as well. And so I won't repeat some of the solutions that Brandi and Connie have shared, because those are excellent solutions. I would just tell you that one, I would develop an impact statement, and that impact statement would talk about how your business was before, how it is now, and how you expect it to be going forward. That gives your landlord a sense of your ability to perform. I think landlords are willing to help if they kind of know what your plan is. Secondly, I would say be prepared to talk about your finance.
So you add.
Static.
Okay, now we can hear you.
That's better. Okay. All right. So just be prepared to validate your current financial positions. In some cases, your landlords may be asking for financials. You know, if you can't pay, you can't pay. You can't get blood out of a rock, right? But you got to be able to do that. Secondly, I will look at very creative ways of providing a solution. I mean, there are a number of things that you can do. You can talk about just paying the triple net fees for a period of time. You can talk about blending, extending options. You can talk about abatements. You can talk about partial abatements. There are a number of different options. So my main thing is to don't panic, don't be afraid. Reach out to someone who have the expertise, like Connie and Brandi and myself, and we'll be glad to help you. You know, for me, when I have a problem with my car, I take it to the dealer. I don't, you know, I can't fix that car now with all those computer chips. And so this is the same thing with commercial real estate. It really does take an experienced negotiator, someone who's been in the business for a while, to help you navigate it. And I'll say this, and I'm done. The two most expensive line items on most small businesses' profit and loss is going to be their personnel, their payroll, and their expense for their facilities, their office that they work out of. To the degree that they can manage and control those expenses will determine whether or not they are successful and stay in business. And so there has been talk about loans available for payroll, but to the degree they can control and manage this issue around rent relief, will determine whether or not they stay in business or go out of business. I provided my information earlier through the chat, so I won't do that again. But good luck to everybody, and we look forward to working with you. And we look forward for the next challenge to help the small business community, whatever that may be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. And I really like that, because it takes an entire village. It's not about, you know, you hear the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. But when we're talking about small businesses, it really takes a village to start and to grow a small business. So I really appreciate all of our organizations and our small businesses contributing to that village, to the community, to better each other, to better the businesses and overall our economic situation. So I do want to leave some time for questions. So we want to go to our next, our final guest. Frank Chambers with Calculating Wages Company. They have a loan navigation app that is really amazing. Frank, you want to tell us about that?
Sure. Thanks for having me on today. First of all, I want everybody to know, besides being a member of the Calculating Wages team, I'm also separate from that a small business owner myself. So is my wife. We both have PPP loans, and so this Navigator app is really important to us to make sure that we get as much of our PPP loan forgiven as possible. And so this application, it's available on the web. I'll go ahead and tell you the website, www.ppplforgiveness.com. We're currently updating the app because for those of you who have PPP loans, you might know that the SBA released their application for forgiveness this past Friday, and it takes effect yesterday on the 20th. And so we're updating to make the changes that the SBA incorporated into their application. So basically, here's how it's going to work. You go online. It's like TurboTax, but for this specific need. You fill in blanks based on the questions that the application asks you. It's going to ask you about payroll questions. It's going to ask you about your employees. It's going to ask you about your qualified non-payroll expenses. And it's going to ask you about your employee numbers. You fill in those blanks. It's pretty simple. I've done it myself. It does all the complicated calculations for you. So like there's this thing called a full-time equivalency reduction quotient, and it's a mouthful, but it's also really complicated math based on, do you have the same amount of full-time employees that you had prior to the coronavirus pandemic? It's complicated to try to work through with pencil and paper. And so what we've created is a way that this calculator figures out that for you on its own. So you just input your numbers, you input the information you already have. It does the hard work. It populates the application forms for you. And at the end of the process, you print. Here comes your application, complete with the certification. Everything that the government wants you to present to your lender. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible for you, because we want you to be able to forgive as much of your loan as possible. At the end of the day, a 1% loan is not bad, but a 0% forgiven loan is better. So that's what our goal is. Another function of this that I felt has served me pretty well in the first runs of the app is that we are able to, or you're able to go back in and make small adjustments to see through your 8 weeks of loan period what serves you better. So if you're not aware, if your employee wages are reduced because everybody's taking a little bit less salary, that can impact your ability to get your loan forgiven. So you can input that information. The application is going to show you that if you don't come up to a certain salary number, you are at risk for not having that money forgiven. Same thing with employee headcount. The point of the CARES Act was for small businesses like us to be able to keep our employee numbers relatively the same to before COVID, all the mess. So what we are able to do is go in, see where we are with our employee numbers and see what that's going to do to reduce our forgiveness amount. We can play around with those numbers, see how many people we need to bring back on to get past that, or to get up to that headcount number where we were before. And you'll see it right there on the summary page that we'll have that shows you, like, okay, I've gotten my entire loan forgiven, or I've got finance $5,000 worth at that 1% over 2 years, or whatever it happens to be for you. So as I said, we're currently updating it. We're supposed to be able to launch it, according to the web guys. I'm not the web guy. I don't know any of that business. I leave it to the people who do. On Monday, that's when it's going to go live. But you can visit the website beforehand. There is a video that kind of walks you through things. There's photos of the app on there so you can kind of see what it looks like. And again, that is www.ppplforgiveness.com. And I included my information in the chat. If you have any questions, please email me. It's frank@calculatingwages.com. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And also, the legal guy did tell me to say this. We are not offering legal or financial advice. This is just a tool for you to use in order to get to your forgiveness levels that you desire. So thanks again, Portia, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I know that we're all going to get through this. I just know it.
Yes, we are, and we're going to get through it together. So at this time, we do have some time left over for questions. So does anyone, whether you're a small business owner or any one of our panelists, does anyone have any questions or any comments they want to put out there to help and get more information during this time? If so, you can go ahead and unmute your line.
So Portia, I have a question for maybe OBO. What's the main request you're seeing from the small business community? What's the main challenge you're seeing? I know finances is always a big deal, but what are the main issues you're finding from the small business community?
So kind of like on two sets, we put out a survey and to assess how businesses are faring during this time. And yes, finances our main concern, and also having that cash flow available is the main concern in the finance piece. Also, we've been getting a lot of calls about people wanting to start businesses or reignite their businesses and how to do that. So it's been kind of neck and neck with that. So that's really a shocker because we thought that there would be more concerns with their businesses, which we are getting that, and we do have our resource hub that's answering a lot of those questions, but we are getting a lot of people calling in about how to start and reignite their businesses. And I do have some of my colleagues on the line too. If there's anything that I'm missing that maybe you are have seen an increase in regards to what businesses need, please feel free to join in and jump in and say something there.
Hi, this is Lalitha from SCORE. We are beginning to see people asking for starting a business now. You know, they are looking for opportunities either in construction or real estate, and we haven't seen a lot of other smaller businesses like retail, but they are beginning to ask for questions. I need advice on how to start and what do I do forwards with. So I think things are beginning to look a little bit more positive than it did about 3 weeks ago.
Hi, this is Marcia. Great information, everyone. Really, really, really helpful. I know that this will be fantastic information for our businesses, and so we'll make sure that we have this on our website to share all the salient information you shared. One of the things I would add is that we're seeing a significant uptick in the number of certification applications. So we typically get about 50 applications per month, and we're getting steadily in the 70s. And so we're seeing that, you know, businesses are actually looking to be able to take advantage of the certification for potential government work, not just with us, but in some of our regional partners as well. But it's really been a substantial increase for us.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Hi, Portia, this is Brandi. I have a question for Frank. So Frank, I went to the website. I've got a lot of colleagues who are really trying to answer that question. How do I maximize my PPP? How many people do I have to bring back? And they're running their own spreadsheets. It sounds like that this solves that, that need. So I noticed there's a block that says it's $49.99 pre-sale special. So it's, you have to pay for the app, and then what is the post-sale price?
Honestly, I don't know. One of the managers on the sales side changed it as after I logged on here. I went over to the website just to look at something, and there's a pre-sale going on. So surprise to me as well. I am not entirely sure. I had texted him to see if he had a response about that, and he says they're still parsing it out. I think he's looking at something fairly close to roughly probably something around $7 to $8 per employee. And how they're planning on doing that is based on employee numbers for your company. So, if we just think about it from right now, that $49.99 for 10 employees, roughly $5 a person. Beyond that, up to a 500-person small business, which is the maximum size that the PPP allows. You could do the math to get up to there. I don't imagine it's going to go much beyond that. I think this is just kind of an attention getter, honestly. But that's I wouldn't say more than probably $8 an employee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I didn't have a clearer answer. I got surprised by that today too.
Sorry about that. You're handling it very well.
Thank you.
Well, I do want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to share about your resources that you have for small businesses, and just to encourage small businesses and let them know that there is a community of support around them. Definitely, we did record this meeting, this webinar, so that we can post it on our website to be an additional resource. Francisco, I have to apologize. With this whole new thing, I'm still making my way through, so I forgot to hit the record button when I started. So can you please go back and tell us again about the loan that you have, so we can have it on this video?
Yes, it's called the Disaster Relief Program, and it's up to $50,000. The first payment, it will be after 120 days, and they can go to our website. Again, we're gonna have this program ready in next month. Okay.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you all for attending, and we really had planned for this just to be a one-time thing, but we're going to make it a series twice a month through the month of July so far. So we look forward to you all coming back and speaking with us and joining as an attendee and finding out more information about the small businesses resources that we have available. And again, the Office of Business Opportunity is here to make sure that you have the connects to the various organizations and relief efforts that you need. There's more information on our website, houstontx.gov/OBO. And you can also reach out to me for any information. My email address is porscha.jackson@houstontx.gov. Thank you all for attending. Thank you all for listening, and for, again, sharing your resources and sharing your time with us. And it's good to see you all. We haven't seen each other in so long, so it's like a reunion, and it's good to see your faces. So thank you all, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.